Josh and Dr. Schnurr, I'd like to hear from kind of the business owner perspective and the physician perspective. Over the next 6 months, somebody in the office is going to get COVID-19. What do you do next as a business owner, and how do we think about it, or how should we be thinking of it from the physician perspective?
From my point of view, when someone does get sick in the office, you're going to need to have protocols set up. So, from my perspective, contact tracing is going to be really important. So if you don't have a wearable solution or an app solution that you activate within the office setting, then you're really going to be doing it manual. And when you do it manually, it's fraught with potential errors where you may miss someone. Where you do it with a wearable solution, you can trace back first, second, and third degree contacts. With that being said, when someone does get sick in the office, the most important thing is really to get the person who is sick, out of the office setting and into a quarantine situation where they can then be adequately tested and evaluated. From that point where you get that person out of the office, you need to very quickly figure out who's been in contact with that person. And you need to get those individuals as well, out of the office situation and as well into a quarantine situation. All these individuals need to be evaluated medically, in coordination with the HR department, but they're all going to need medical visits, whether in person or by televisit, which I think is probably the most cost-effective way to do that. And those individuals, and then you're going to have to test and you're going to make decisions. As far as the actual workplace, dependent on where that person has traveled within the workplace, the decision of shutting down, whether it's that specific area or a larger area, will have to be made. And then those areas will have to be decontaminated, and shut down for probably several days while they're decontaminated. So those are the things I think you got to start to think about. And, Josh can elaborate, but the reality is that every business is going to be different. Every situation is going to be a little bit different. So it's really going to be a collaboration between the medical team in charge, so to speak, the HR team, and all the individuals that are involved.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, for us, the step before someone tests positive is really to have reduce contact as much as you reasonably can. So, right, having meetings, not having conference room meetings with 3+ people, reducing all team. We used to have meetings with 120 people. Of course, that's not going to be for some time. So trying to reduce contact through a number of different ways. Our building is spread out across 120,000 square feet. And so there are some spots where team members don't interact a whole lot. And yet for us, we're going to have at a point when someone tests positive or someone in close relationship with them tests positive, we're going to have to do contact tracing and ultimately really find out who has been in close proximity in similar spaces. In some areas, where it was really close proximity, we ultimately either have to move to testing or they stay home for a period of time. Those are really the two options. Some cases, that's not terribly problematic. They can perform their work from home. In some areas, it's a big problem, right? They go out and do service calls. They're essential. And that's where going home for 14 or 17 days isn't really a great option. And so we're gonna have to navigate that bridge. Ultimately, ideally, it's a never situation. And then we're going to have times where it's 1 or 2 or 3. Ultimately, the biggest thing we're looking to avoid is where, like some of these chicken farms and beef producers, where you have 27 or 30 or 40, because that starts to become an outbreak in a facility and in a community,